start a catering company. And it got so serious that about the catering company, they told us, so now let's pray on it. Because we did have a lot of great food there. You had a lot of cooks there, man. A lot of the older people was very good cooks. We said we could open up. I believe this happened in like 2016.
Yeah.
We went and opened the company right then and there. First to start off with just Elegant Eats.
Okay.
Catering company.
We come from a background or a family that everybody knows how to cook. We train our kids to learn to cook early. Yeah, we've known each other for how many years now?
Since 2012.
We all know restaurants is one of the hardest business to start.
Absolutely.
And the failure rates are very high.
You know, finding dependable people would be number one.
DeShawn Higgs, an alumnus of North Miami Senior High School, shares a powerful story of redemption, faith, and entrepreneurship. From sitting in a jail cell to becoming the co-founder of Bonanza's, what started with just a tent and a table turned into a late-night food spot serving hungry crowds until 5 a.m. Join us as DeShawn Higgs and his co-founder Damani talk about faith, family prayers, setbacks, and the grind it took to build Bonanza's into a brick-and-mortar success.
Welcome to Jules Legacy Enterprise Productions, where story connects generations. A conversation with a pioneer, a segment that celebrates the life and journey of North Miami Senior High School pioneers by bridging the past and the present to inspire the future. Behind every name, there is a story. DeShawn Higgs, an alumnus from class of 2006, one of the founder of Bonanza's restaurant. He is here with his co-founder for this great interview. It is with pleasure to actually invite both of them here on our platform.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you for having us.
Same, brother. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
DeShawn,
What's happening?
I was reading your bio, and you was talking about the day that you guys knew that you wanted to tap into Bonanza's, where at an event you guys were having, and it was approximately 80 people there.
Yep.
Can you walk us through that day?
So we talking about a family function that we had. We usually would have every few years or so. I wouldn't call it necessarily freaking like a cookout and thing in that nature, because it was more on a learning base. Tip, you was coming there to connect and learn. But yeah, man, at the end of the function, we were just kind of closing up. Everybody just kind of finishing the rest of their day. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been my aunt, one of my older aunts, and she just came and she was just like, man, we should start a catering company. Wow. And then we just kind of shifted off. It was just like, yeah. And he's like, no, for real, I'm telling you, like, we should start a catering company. And it got so serious that about the catering company, they told us, so now let's pray on it and all this type of stuff. And just a true story, bro. And it was just like, so from that point, we just kind of shifted into it and was just like, all right, well, let's dibble and dabble in it and let's see, because we did have a lot of great food there. You had a lot of cooks there, man. A lot of the older people was very good cooks. I mean, it's crazy because I wasn't the best cook.
Wow.
Early on, but a lot of the recipes came from them. And yeah, from that point, we just we said we gonna open up. I believe this happened in like 2016.
Yeah,
2016. You know, and we went and opened the company right then and there. First to start off with just Elegant Eats.
Okay.
Catering company.
Okay.
And that's how it started right there, bro.
Damani, were you there that day?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was there. But just like I say, you know, we come from a background or a family that everybody knows how to cook.
Okay.
You know what I mean? From the older people all the way down to the younger people. You know, we train our kids to learn to cook early. So with that type of training and that type of family culture, we came together and figured that we can, since we all know how to cook, we can all start a restaurant or start a catering company. Just like I said, start a catering company. So I was there when you said it. Yeah. To pray on it. Yeah. Yeah, we prayed on it too. We definitely prayed on it. But, you know, I would say from that idea, it just sparked what we are now. You know, so all great ideas come from a vision.
What is your relationship with DeShawn?
Oh man, this guy's like a brother to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we've known each other for how many years now?
Since 2012.
Yeah, since 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, that's my brother right there.
Yeah, interesting how you met. You know, it's crazy because when I met him, to me, I think he was like, at that time, he was like maybe 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 15, right? So I think I got him by like 7 years, something like that, 6 years, maybe 5. And but he was so mature,
Right.
to me. I'm like, damn, this dude is so mature. Like for 15 years old, I remember when I was 15, you know, I'm still running around chasing girls. And
Of course.
this kid was real mature, driving and everything. So the bond kind of connected from there. You know, really smart. You know what I'm saying? Inclined to studying different things of that nature. Typical black 15-year-olds, you wasn't seeing that.
But that speaks volume for you guys to be friends since 15 years old, right? That means that you guys were able to build that bond, and actually that bond, and you guys are in business now.
Right.
What are some of the challenges individually, right, that you guys have in your business? That, because we all know restaurants is one of the hardest business to start.
Absolutely.
Very hard.
Absolutely.
And the failure rates are very high. So what are some of the challenges that you guys have on a day-to-day?
It's funny that you say that. You know, the failure rates are extremely high. I would say overall, you know, finding dependable people would be number one.
Okay.
That's probably like hands down. Because quite frankly, obviously, when you start off, you start with your family. And you just kind of, hey, can you help me do this right quick? Help me. But then helping me start getting a little bit more mandatory. I need you to be here. But not everybody see it like that.
Of course.
Because it just started off on just a, hey, let's just come together, you know. But when you're trying to scale it and get to a point of, you know, I want to have an establishment and do something on a consistent basis. It was people, bro. People, you was dealing with people that was coming from all type of different backgrounds that was expecting, because you get into business,
Right.
immediately I make money. And that was not the case. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said, for many years, you're going to sit there and make probably little to no profit, if that.
Of
You know what I'm
course.
saying? And along the way, trying to mold people into understanding that, yo, this is moving from necessarily, yeah, you my brother outside, but right in here, you my business partner.
Of course.
So we need to hold each other up to a certain type of standards. So people was first and foremost. And actually, when we started this, you know, in the beginning, we all had this particular leader that we used to listen to, you know, amongst the family, you know what I'm saying? Like an old, you ever had one of those older, not necessarily related to you, but like a grandpa, uncle, older uncle in the family.
Right.
And he always told us, you know, if you're going to start a business, the first thing you need to do is get the mind of your people right. You know what I'm saying? Get them all on one accord, get them focused and tuned in. And that was a challenge. That was the challenge, man, because when you, like you say, hey, you got to be here at 9 o'clock. Man, it's not that big of a deal. The event start at 10 o'clock.
Of course.
How we gonna prep and get everything ready? It's not that big of a deal. Oh man, so people was like extremely one of the first challenges on my aspect of things. Maybe he might have a different look on it.
What I would say for me is accountability.
Okay.
You know, and I say accountability in the aspects of myself, even though he went the people route. You know, I'm going to say people as well, but people as in yourself. You know, because when I was growing up, I never wanted to work in a restaurant.
Wow.
Never. I always told myself that I would never apply to working in a restaurant.
Right.
You know, so the McDonald's of the world, the Burger Kings, all of those types of restaurant jobs, I told myself I would never do that.
Wow.
You know, so me growing up with that type of mindset, it kind of molded me into the person of, this is not what I'm going to do. So now that I'm in it, now I have to go through a whole total mindset shift,
Right.
or paradigm shift to now this is what I'm doing.
Of course.
This is the livelihood. So, you know, just changing your aspect, your mental aspect of how you see things, it's, you know, that's going to be, I would say, one of the toughest things, you know, is yourself.
Right.
You know, so if you don't have a mind for business, I would say don't do it. You know what I mean? Regardless of the people that come together and say, oh, I know how to cook really well.
Of course.
But knowing how to cook really well doesn't add to your profitability.
100%.
You know, so it's all about business. You know, how good are you with your numbers? You know, if you don't know how to count, business probably not it's not the one for you, especially when it comes to the restaurant business.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's a phenomenal cook. We work together, phenomenal cook. And he said something to me. He said, just because I could cook well doesn't mean I could cook for 100 people.
Yeah.
Right?
I got a sister right now that'll get mad at me. One time you just said, you know, because at events, when you're doing live events, like sometimes we do Jazz in the Gardens, Rolling Louds, and this is the event, it's high volume.
Of course.
You come out there with high volume. This is not about presentation.
Right.
But a lot of times when you come from the chef world,
Yeah.
you like for your food to look
Certain ways.
certain type of ways. But
Everything is presentation.
Yeah, everything is presentation with that. And boy, she would not be happy with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to, she said, I'm like, yo, get the food out. I don't give a damn about all that. Just get it out, get it out, get it out. So, and that's how it is in business, you know what I'm saying? Obviously in a restaurant, it's a little more controlled. You have that control time, and so you can layer, presentation with speed and expectations. But yeah, bro, that mindset shift that needs to happen is like what he was saying is absolutely incredible. And then a lot of people just do not want to conform to that. They don't want to conform. Take a long time to understand the difference between the two. Yeah. I got a friend, that, I watched him for many years. My boy named Cello. He from Miami too.
Yeah.
You know Cello?
Cello?
Yeah, Cello. I watched my boy, and I watched him cook. You know what I'm saying? And I used to see him like, damn, that food look really good. It's so funny, man. And then, but when I got into the business, I used to look at his presentations, but I'm like, bro, the business aspect of this, nothing like that, bro. You be having this food looking like, I'm like, but in this truck, it's totally different, man. It's high volume. When he got into his food truck, you know what I'm saying, we reached out and we talked a lot. We had a lot of conversations. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's different. It's different.
So what's unique about you guys is that you guys are in you guys are embarked on two difficult tasks, right? One is the restaurant business. Number two is actually having partners. Right. My brothers and I we have several businesses, and sometimes people will tell you, hey, you don't need business partners, right? Or why are you getting involved with families and all these things, right? Mm-hmm. How are you guys able to split tasks? And also, let's talk about some of your roles in the business.
So starting with me, I'm the marketing director. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to marketing is all about gaining attention, but attention doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
So you have to find a way to change that attention into actual revenue. So as with marketing, that's the oxygen of whatever business that you're in. So if you're not promoting yourself, if you're not promoting on social media platforms, you have no voice. Mm-hmm. People don't see you. So that's how you make money. You make money from people seeing you, and then when people see you, now you have to generate those eyes into foot traffic into your doors.
Right. So you just do marketing for the business.
So, of course, now I won't say I just do marketing, you know what I'm saying? But I do just about everything. Okay. As being an owner, you can't just stick yourself with this is what I'm going to do and then that's it.
Of course.
So if I have to get on the griddle and cook, that's what I'm going to do. If I got to clean some toilets, that's what I'm going to do. But even with that right there, a lot of people come into business thinking, oh, I'm the business owner.
Of course.
I need to hire people to do all of that small time stuff. Yeah, that comes with time. But while you're building, you have to fill those shoes.
Right.
So if you're not interested, even though you want to hold that title as business owner, but you don't want to clean the toilets, you don't want to clean the fryer, clean the fryer is a nasty job. Of course. But at the end of the day, it has to get done.
Great.
So, marketing director, that's my main role, but everything under, I do.
DeShawn?
So specifically me, I focus more so on the director of operations. So this is the person that is implementing systems for everything that you do in operation. So you talking about from the time that one walks into the restaurant to the time the one walks out, how everything is done, how much time is dedicated to what is done, and what meticulous orders should these things be put in. Now with that is a very tedious job, absolutely super tedious job and time consuming. Now over time this grew on me because when we started out, we was in food trucks,
Right.
And when we started in food trucks, this is after coming off of the doing the delivery sales, the dinner sales things. But when we got into the food truck, this is when I was able to analyze and see, okay, well, boom, if this take this guy 30 minutes to do, you know what I'm saying, and this guy here had done ordered already 20 minutes ago, we need to have a system that's going to make up for this missed time. And that's kind of where it just started from there. You know, systems is like priority in your business. Where there's no systems at, there's absolutely confusion. Where there's confusion, there's failure. 100%.
Of course.
Because you're going to have someone come into a role, hey, man, I need you to help me out. What am I doing? Okay, yeah, just jump on that fry. And then after that, okay, who you made that wrong? Bro, you don't have nothing laid out on how it should be done. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about this data information on how a thing should be done is so, especially like you say in restaurants, bro, because every grain of rice is need to be accounted for.
Yes.
When you're talking about waste, it's so, bro, the margins, you know, if a high profit margin, I'm talking about this is exceptionally high. This is probably like some of your 5-star dining margins are maybe 20%. Your average sometimes is 0 to 5%.
Wow.
0 to 5% in the restaurant industry. 0 to 5%. 97% of those businesses go out of business within the first 10 years. Go out of business. Go out of business in the first 10 years, bro. So if you don't have no systems in line, just you going out of business. Of course. You absolutely going out of business. Because all you're going to do is ask for people to come into roles. You're going to pay them. They're going to take your money. You're not going to uphold your standards that's supposed to be put out there for the customers. And it's just going to be a cycle of a downward spiral, you know, like specifically for him in the marketing aspect of things. There's even a system that needed to be set and orchestrated from him.
100%.
You know, because I'm expecting a certain thing. Okay, so if you're going to be doing some posting, we need to see this. And what is your system that's laid out to show what's happening when it's supposed to be happening? You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes down to, you know, as far as our porter, dishwasher, you know, how is a dish should be washing? You know what I'm saying? How much time should it be? Bro, that needs to be analyzed because you could kill hours. I started off working at like Steve's Pizza back in the day in North Miami.
Really?
Yeah, that was my first job.
Still around?
Yeah, still around. Yeah, I still go there. You know, and I was a busboy, bro. And you could accumulate hella hours in restaurants. It's so much time consuming. But if a place you come to that has good systems, you could fly through these things. Any spot that you go to where there's very vague systems or vague rules or vague information, you trust me, they losing money.
Facts.
Absolutely losing money.
DeShawn, I have a few things I want to run by you, right? So if you work at Steve Pizza has a legacy that's established, right? Over 50 years.
Yeah, for sure.
What makes them different than any other businesses, and how were they able to do that?
So my main man, Jay, the owner of it, right? You know, he hired me when I was about 15 years old, came and walked in one of my partners when I was younger and just asked for a job. But we'll put them on a different level. Pizza itself, you know, it's dough.
Right.
So in business, a lot of the brands that has scaled massively, they usually have a very small menu, you know. Now, although there's dough and a bunch of different toppings, there's one main thing. There's just dough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With a bunch of different toppings that you can use this dough to go make, you know, a big ziti or whatever the case may be. And the reason that that's a little bit easier, or not necessarily easier, able to last a little longer, it's a bit of a cheaper investment into bread and water, or flour and water, rather, you know. Not to mention, the overhead is very small. It's not that big of overhead. You don't need so many people to operate industries like that. Okay. And this is the things that you look for. Anything that you're really good at is going to be based on, you make the options a little bit less for people. So I want pizza or pasta. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So in his establishment, when I worked there, you know, Jay, it wasn't like Jay was the most operationally, you know, inclined person there, but what he did have was a routine of things that was getting done. You made boxes. There was a dishwasher, one dishwasher in the back. Not many dishes is coming in because this is not a restaurant that you send in cups and glasses back. This is takeout. Smaller the scale, you know what I'm saying, easier to duplicate. You feel me? So Jay's situation was very, and then he was in a amazing location, bro. You on Biscayne, right off of 118 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Really good location. Jay is a really good people's person. So it man, it was phenomenal of a atmosphere and just his scene, you know, helped. So I think that his menu options helped him be able to scale the pizza, bro. When you look into pizza, it's a very, 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 very high profit margin to make money, because all you're doing is putting a lot of toppings on things. So those are one of those establishments that you could scale pretty quickly and last very long, you know, especially if you got good people that's working with you.
Walk us through the process. You guys came from a food truck and you guys wanted to open up a physical location.
Yes.
Let's say I'm looking to open up a restaurant. Walk us through the process from the very beginning to the point that you guys are able to open. Walk us through the process.
So okay, so let's start from the process. So we did this thing. Let me see if I remember the name of it. What that junk was you doing Fridays? First Fridays, yeah. So there was an event over town that we used to do. We'll go to this event, pull up there with like a tent, a table, and like maybe 2 or 3 menu items, and set it up there and just kind of sit and wait for people. No, very little Instagram, social media promotion. So this is what we started off with doing, just trying to get some attention somewhere downtown Miami. Yeah, right. Okay, not really making too much money there. It was dying out. Not people wasn't really too engaged. So we transitioned to trying to find a little bit more popular events. But then what caught for us, the dinner sales. The dinner sales caught because what we was doing every 2 weeks. So anybody that worked. So I started off in production. I was doing production and events. Like I worked for this company, forgot the RP. And I do light designing. He was working. This guy had hella jobs. This guy, you know, rental car company, Mercedes. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that had jobs that was in our family will say, "Hey man, take these intercell forms and go give it to your people." Like right here, now you have a session. Come give it to them and let them know that we'll provide lunch for them and let them pick from these items, and they'll pay in advance. At the same time, it was getting our name known. So, oh man, Elegant Eats is coming. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, a menu costs $10, and this is where it starts. So we start gaining traction. We have people that worked at the post office, and they're sitting. We'll just keep on doing. So we're doing this every 2 weeks. And we'll get up in the morning at our aunt's house and prepare all of the food.
Right.
And then we'll go deliver it for free and give you free drink, losing hella money. You know what I'm saying? But it was gaining traction of notoriety, helping us to understand, people know who we were. Then you fast forward, still doing major events like the Rolling Louds and the Jackson Gardens when they come around. That was our big one. We waited for those events because that's the ones that we knew that, oh man, we could get $15,000 to $18,000, $20,000 to come in within a weekend. That was great. That was a booster. But then COVID hit.
Okay.
Right. So when COVID hit, it was like, oh man, what are we gonna do? No events, nothing happened. People working jobs, odd jobs. I don't want the business to fade out. Dang, should we dive all in? It was a lot of hesitation on that, man. There was a lot of hesitation on that because if you commit to this, you put your money in this. When people put their money somewhere, they're expecting the return.
Of course.
Quick. You feel me? Quick. You feel me? And food, it wasn't that quick. You can make money every day, but your return ain't coming that quick. It cost almost $80,000 to get the trailer. So you got to invest. You talking about life savings.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Income tax
checks. You know how it is.
Income tax up.
So you saying, and we don't have a clear path of how it's going to make us money. We just know that, hey man, we need to do this.
Right.
And yeah, bro, we bought the first food truck, bro. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the first 6 months, it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. We set up off of 119 to 27th Avenue in that food truck lot from the year of 2020, around like June, to about maybe 2021 March, until we got ran off. And because COVID hit, all of the restaurants was closed.
Right.
So it gained a lot of traction. So guess what it did to our morale? It caused us to be more engaged. And we was like, oh, snap. I'm bringing in a couple of $1,000s a night. This is great. Nah, the food business is good.
Of course.
But we ain't paying attention to no numbers. Ain't paying attention to no numbers, man. Yup, boy, you got all this stuff here, but you ain't paying attention to them. It's just money coming in. The more money that's coming in, the more money is going out.
It's true.
But we stayed committed, and we were so committed we bought another food truck. About a year later. And by the time we got that second food truck, now we got to divvy up teams. So now who's ever operating this one, need to have a team set in place. As far as the cook, what I'm saying, the dishwasher, the driver, because we got trailers. It's a food trailer, so you got to have a truck to drive with it, everything. And we fast forward from that point on, bro, and things got tough. Things got real tough. See, we spread ourselves thin. We messed around and spread ourselves a little thin. We went and bought a bigger warehouse. Typical black people, you getting happy, you getting excited, money coming in.
Of course.
And you want to go a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessarily about a splurge, but you're trying to get a little more comfort. And the business is not about comfort. That's what we find out. It's not about comfort. The more comfortable you are, the less money you finna make.
Wow.
The more comfortable you are, there's absolutely less money you finna make. Man, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those scales of comfortability or inconvenience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because inconvenience is going to be convenience for the customer. You know what I'm saying? Comfortable for you is not convenient for the customer.
Right.
And we was learning that. And we went and scaled and got his warehouse. Man, sad to say, we lost the warehouse.
Wow.
Definitely.
We lost the warehouse. Once we lost the warehouse, man, we had went and invested almost 6 figures into plates, because we was looking to think that this was going to be like our forever savior, buying a bunch of plates because money's for to come in. So you talking about 6 figures went into plates, just plates.
Branded plates.
Branded plates with our name on it, thinking that was going to be something. Bro, and I think what year that was, bro, we lost all that, 23 or 22?
I think that was 23. Yeah.
Yeah, bro, we lost all of that. We had to downsize bad. Into a small little commissary, bro, and it was tough. You had to re-gut that spot, and man, the morale dropped.
Of course,
it dropped drastically for the team. It was hanging on with shreds, man. Some of those nights of, can you make this payment? Can you keep the lights on at your house? Let alone people working for you.
That's true.
And still
they need to get paid.
Right.
They could care less about your money coming in.
Absolutely, bro. So you talking about, this is that high and low in business, bro.
Of course.
And this is the very low that we had right at that point. Now, mind you, right before that, we purchased a restaurant. We met this guy, and he offered us a supposedly good deal. We don't know nothing about how to purchase real estate.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a commercial real estate, so we don't know nothing about it. It was just sound like a good deal. All of the equipment in there, we was like, oh, that should be worth about that. And they say you're gonna open up in this amount of time. By 30 days, they say it should be turnkey. Bro, turnkey turned into what, 2 years?
2 years.
Wow.
Paying rent, not making no money.
Bro, so you can imagine what's happening. We struggling to keep the business together. Struggling.
But what happened? What took 2 years? Why did it take 2 years?
Red tape of Miami Gardens, you know what I'm saying, grease traps.
But that's what I wanted to get into. That's what the question was, as far as from the time that you guys got the establishment, the process behind the scene, because a lot of people don't know. I want to open a restaurant, but they don't know what really goes on into it. They think, oh, I'm just going to go get this place, I'm going to get this building, and I'm just going to open up a restaurant. I want you to educate the people who wants to open a restaurant from the very first time you acquire the asset or the time you decided to rent. Walk us through that process until the day you were able to open.
One of the first things I would say that you definitely want to know is what you're going to sell.
Okay.
You need to know exactly what you're going to sell, because you're going to build around what you're going to sell.
Okay.
We didn't know that. So that was a fault. So once you find out exactly what you are going to sell, specifically for a restaurant, you can design or purchase a restaurant that would, you know what I'm saying, be conducive to what you're doing already or what you're trying to sell, you know what I'm saying? So once we realized what we was going to sell, it was a matter of going down to the county and making sure that you have all of the paperwork right. You know what I'm saying? So some of the early things you want to understand all your health codes. Bro, this thing is so tedious. You know, understand all of your health codes. Get all of the proper licensing. Invest all of the homework into getting all your proper licensing, and understand before I go into this space here, are all these licenses that I've acquired, will they be able to work here?
Of course. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the failures, you know, the hiccup that came in once we moved into that spot. It was not really understanding what it means to, you know, you thinking that, oh, you have just a catering license. Okay, what does that mean? That don't mean the same thing once you go into a restaurant. You understand? So, yeah, kind of going through that journey. By the time we got to we opened a restaurant and got into it, we realized that, hey, you need a grease trap in here. That's one of the most important things, specifically if you're going to be selling fried foods. You know what I'm saying? So that was that was like the major holdup. The major holdup right there, needing to have a grease trap. And that grease trap could run you anywhere between, on the low end, $20,000, on the high end to $40K.
Of course.
You know, and the thing was, once we got into it, we bought the spot, not an operation. So it wasn't operating. It wasn't up to code. The last thing you want to do is purchase a restaurant that's not in operation. You want to make sure it's up to code already. So the restaurant needs to be open and have all of the licensing up to date. It's easier to transition into a restaurant like that as opposed to trying to get it from scratch. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we failed at. We tried to get everything from scratch, and boy, they hit us across the head, because those 2,000 here, 3,000 here, 4,000 there was just picking up. But the major thing was, like I said, it was the grease trap. That was the absolute major thing.
You mentioned the Red Line in Miami Gardens.
Yeah.
What are those?
What are they not? Miami Gardens, specifically, so when you get the grease trap, that's dealing with the county.
Okay.
But then Miami Gardens come behind that, and they have to approve as well. And it's crazy, man, because you say, what are those? I'm still confused. At this point, I'm still confused. Miami Gardens has a situation, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's relationships, honestly, because they'll hit you and they'll say, well, okay, well, fill this out and follow this information, but then they'll follow up, and then it's like, okay, you're on standby.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. So it's a lot of the relationship that you may have in Miami Gardens versus actually saying what is a specific thing that happened that we was not aware of. You know, so I think that was more so of the issue as far as the Red Line.
Damani, how did you guys come up with the name Bonanza?
Oh man. So our mentor, you know, he was a real spiritual guy.
Okay.
And the meaning of the word is a sudden increase.
Of course.
A sudden increase in wealth or growth, prosperity.
Yes.
So we as a family want to be successful.
Okay.
You know, and our mentor, that's one of the things that he always preached. You know, he always talked about being successful, you know, how to be successful, just like with the quote that he said earlier. In order to be successful or to get into business, the first thing you need to do is get the mind of your people right.
Of course.
You know, so with that success and our culture built around success, Bonanza was the perfect option. It was the perfect fit.
What is next for you guys?
What is next? So right now we in a process of what we call optimizing our business.
Okay.
Optimizing basically meaning maximizing all of our efforts within the business, making sure that is scaling to its top capacity. Once we get everything firing off, all of the engines firing off to its best abilities, meaning in marketing, that means we have found out all of the secrets in marketing for the restaurant. The best operational systems. Once we get all those things up to par, at that point we're looking to scale.
Okay.
You know, potentially going into looking into more of the northeast of Florida.
Oh wow.
Also maybe even going into a little bit of the East Coast, Atlanta. You know, this is the concept and the idea that we think of when we think about Bonanzas. Because remember, we focus more on a late night crowd.
That's what I was going to ask you next, because I wanted to know why'd you guys pick those hours.
Least amount of competition was first, right?
Okay.
You know, that was first thing. You know, you competing with a lot of people in the industry. Miami has a lot of food, and a lot of people food good,
Right.
Great food, as a matter of fact. And but when you go into the later of the hours, Miami is a late city that likes to party and hang out and different things of that nature. And when you go into the later hours, people start scaling down their menu. Well, we thought that we should keep the menu up to par. You know what I'm saying? Where can you go at 4:49 a.m. to still get you some lamb chops and hibachi rice?
Oh,
You know what
wow.
I'm saying? Being freshly cooked. So we thought that if we attack that market on that aspect, and the way that we realized that was when we was out there with the food trucks. Everybody used to leave around by that 12, 1, 3 o'clock tops. Everybody's gone. So we decided to stay and see what that does for the script clubs, you know, and all the late night venues that's open. And we realized that, man, you can make a lot of money within this hour. So that's why we attacked that, and we stayed with that. And that's been the case for the last 6 years, 7 years.
Miami Garden has a lot of developments that's coming in there. Of
Does.
course, I believe they're building a city center that's there.
Yeah, it is.
You guys have a lot of events at the Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
Do you guys see a future in Miami Gardens as far as for businesses and also the type of business you have?
Absolutely. I would say yes. I definitely would say yes. As a matter of fact, we already put a bid in for the new development that they have going over there at the center. Now, would our concept work? That's something that we still chopping through, you know, because like I told you, the people that has the least amount of menu items, it's the ones that's kind of scale the best and scale the fastest. Quite frankly, we don't have that small of a menu. Our menu is fairly decent. We do hibachi, wings, and pastas, you know, overall, but it still is about 4 meats, 4 proteins, you know what I'm saying? So then you also have the 2 starches with the rice and pasta. So we're still paying attention to that and looking at that. But you know what I actually would like to, and I tried this a little while ago, is establishing a restaurant in North Miami. Now, we tried it with the food truck, but it's so funny, man. Back at that time, North Miami was not that friendly with us with the food truck. At least the police. Yeah, you know. But that's one of those things. If you don't know where you can and cannot, because after like a year followed after that, I realized I'm like, wow, all down Dixie, I see a few food trucks that have been popping up now.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely would like to get one on the East Coast since we're already on the West. Get an establishment on the East Coast. And yeah, man. So that's where we see our future going with that. As far as the future.
Damani,
Yes.
what advice would you give someone who wants to open up a business or has a food truck or is at the very basic beginning?
Educate yourself first. You have to educate yourself first, because learning things on the back end, you lose a lot of money learning things on the back end. So to save yourself the time, the heartache, the stress, the sleepless nights, realizing that you got all these people on your payroll and you don't have the foundation to support that, you know, that's what I would say. I would say you have to educate yourself first. You know, like you said, with the licensing, the permits, when and where you can set up if you are in a food truck, you know, because like when we were in the food truck, we tried everything, pulling up here, this corner, we see this corner over here, we just pull up there. We get set up and police come, shut us down. Now we gotta find another spot.
Right.
So educate yourself on where you can park. What's your local regulations? What are your state laws? Things of that nature. So education is paramount. Information is king. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
Well, where are you guys all located now? If someone needs to reach you guys, how can they reach you guys via social media and also the restaurant?
You can give all that information.
So we are located in Miami Gardens. The address is 17560 Northwest 27th Avenue. We're literally right across the street from the Finger Licking Lounge.
Okay.
In that plaza where the car wash is. And you said the hours?
The hours.
Our hours are Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay.
And Saturday and Sunday, 1 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Social media?
Yes.
You got-
Social media is go_bonanzas. That's go_bonanzas.
All right. I have one last question for you guys. You guys are hardworking individuals. What do you guys do when you guys are not working? What do you guys enjoy to do?
Family.
Family?
Yeah, it's got to be family. You know, at the end of the day, you have to realize, what are you doing it for? You know, because if you're getting into the restaurant game because you want to make a lot of money, that's the wrong thing. Because you're not, especially in those first 10 years, you're not going to make a lot of money. You know, if you don't have multiple locations where you can scale and, you know, have different, you know, ideas and concepts, you know, then that's where you can probably start to see a lot of money coming in. But money, you shouldn't do it for the money. You know, do it for legacy, do it for family, you know, something that you know that you have children growing up, you know, because I have a son and I have a daughter. She's on the way too. But do it for them, you know, so that way when they grow up, they know for sure that my parents or my dad, my mom, they built this for me. So I want to keep it going.
Nice.
So, you know, you do it for the culture. So that's, I would say, one thing for me. Outside of the restaurant, I would say family.
For sure. Family definitely is top tier with me as well. You know, one of the things I remember when I was young, you know, my dad, he used to work in auto body tech. And when he got a little bit older, as a matter of fact, I think shortly after I graduated, he opened up his own body shop. Specifically, so I'm thinking that, whoa, my dad in business, that's something to be proud and have. You know, I had a few friends that was in the auctioning business, and I used to shift business this way, so I felt proud about that and talking about it, you know. And I saw both sides of the world a little bit growing up with my dad and my mom, because my mom was a little bit of the much more lower income, you know, housing area. My dad lived in Miami right here for 131st and 12th, and house. So I saw different aspects of the world. So by the time, my dad was one of those guys that once he'll work, he ain't know a lot of information, but he'll go out there and he'll bust it back up.
He'll get it.
You know what I'm saying? So when he opened up the business, auto body tech business, I was real proud for that. So when we got into business, it was like, man, what an establishment that you could set up, like you're saying, legacy, that your kids could be proud of, to say that, no, my daddy owned a restaurant, or, you know what I'm saying, my daddy owned catering companies, and, you know, or, you know what I'm saying, my daddy owned a distribution company in food, you know what I'm saying, because I see it much higher than just the restaurant itself. So that was definitely, like I said, he said, I have 5 kids. You know,
5?
Yeah, I got 5 kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So, you know, 3 girls and 2 boys, you know what I'm saying? My oldest girl, you know, she's 16 years old. She'd be 17.
Wow.
You feel me? This year. So, absolutely, man, you want to set the right example. You know what I'm saying? What did my dad doing when he leaves here? You know, and fortunately, because how our system and our family is set up, you know, my wife is a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, wow, nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Fortunately, but she won't look at it like that. Raising them kids,
Of course.
you don't look at it as stay-at-home mom. That's a lot of work still.
Of course.
You know, and I have a 4-month-old little girl.
Wow.
You know, too. So
You're still going at it.
Oh yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Be fruitful and multiply, ain't it?
That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says.
So yeah, bro, for sure, most definitely, it's family, bro. It's top tier, man. You know, we God-fearing people, and family is definitely key, man. We need to get back to that. You know, remove these a little bit and get more inclined with our people, and show our kids that it's not necessarily only about, you know, and then the social media, the digital
Facts.
aspect of it. You know,
Facts.
You know, interaction, connection with people is for sure key. So that's what we do in our downtime, man. Always kicking in. Cool. Very little of that, though.
Of course.
Very little
Of
downtime.
course.
You
Of
say,
course.
you know what I'm saying?
But when your family is working in the business with you,
You always
now
spending
got
time
the
with
best
them.
of both worlds.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Best of both worlds.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, bro.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by today, and also on behalf of the Jules Legacy brand, we want to thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Wish you guys nothing but luck and success, and I want to see you guys flourish and actually become more prosperous. And hopefully you do get that bid as far as at the city center.
Yeah, man.
Be looking out for that.
All right,
definitely. And I'm also going to stop by that restaurant.
Man, most
Yeah,
definitely.
check the
For
food
sure,
out.
for sure, man. I appreciate you for having this, man. I want to say one more thing. I remember that even got me in tune to you. Last year, Picnic, I believe, Miami Picnic, is when I seen you guys kind of out there, because a lot of my people's that I went to school, I'm like, dang, bro, I ain't seen these people in a minute. And I seen you out there recording them, walking up to them.
Yeah.
Look, I'm like, dang. And another one of my boys hit me on when I was just kind of telling my little story about, you know, where I come from the, I guess we'll get into that another time. But he hit me on to you. He was like, bro, go on his podcast and talk about it and share a story, bro. It's coming up from how we came up, you know. No, Miami was pretty good, but, you know, there's a lot of interesting stuff that you get involved in.
Of course.
You get involved in, bro, growing up. And so that's like he said, paradigm shift that you had to take in your mind to remove from this, I want it now, get it now, to transition it over to a slower pace of a business aspect of things. That's an interesting shift, bro. That's an interesting shift. So, you know, man, but I guess we'll get into it. We'll get into it another time. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into another time. Bro.
But we could definitely talk about it as far as was it after high school or was it during high school?
So in North Miami, you know what I'm saying, it's before they switched it over, you know, the school over, you know. Of course, you know, we was on the side on the north side.
Of course.
So I ain't even never been to the new school yet to see inside of it. But growing up in there, when I first went to school, it was basically you had uniforms when I went there. You wear gray shirts, I believe, and like jeans.
Yes.
You feel me? So it was a little bit easy to blend. I always didn't like when they changed it to the regular clothes because, like I said, I was raised with my dad. He didn't have a lot of money.
Of course.
So it was like, well, you going to school and this a freaking talent show.
Of course.
Oh, man.
And if you don't have it. Yeah, if you don't have it.
Shoo, boy. So we got freaking shacks and all that type of stuff coming up inside that bad boy. You know, but then quickly by the 10th grade, you know, you being introduced to interesting thing, bro. How you so fresh like that?
Of course.
Boy, you know, and then that went down a different road, man, because now you seeing people and it's crazy, man, because you know, my dad was very heavy on discipline. I got a lot of ass whoopings, bro. That was hands down. So he was really heavy on discipline. But, bro, one thing I learned about environment is stronger than your willpower, bro. So the people that you're around, you know what I'm saying? You ever heard that saying that say you the average of the 5 people you hang around?
100%.
Bro, and that was the case, man. Growing up in some of my partners, I seen them doing like B&Es, you know what I'm saying? You know, of course, transitioning further, you see the scam world. You know,
it's a big thing down here.
You know, and I'm saying, bro, that it was like so enticing, you know, to working at Steve Pizza. So you making them $5 an hour. You make $5 an hour, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I was 16 and I ain't have major bills, but I did want to put on a few fresh, you know what I'm saying? And bro, and it's so crazy, man, because I would know that that was an interesting route, but that environment, it for you to not go to school and have to, you know what I'm saying, worry about, are you going to get, you know what I'm saying, challenged on what you got on, all that type of stuff like that, you know, so it was very easy to fall into that world of getting that fast money like that, man. And I kind of got caught up in that bad boy a little bit, a lot actually, a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? I did many years, you know, in and out of jail.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Many years in and out of jail. So, yeah, that was an interesting phase.
If you don't mind me asking, I'm pretty sure those cases are closed. Would it be for like scamming, or that's something that's kind of more private?
Nah, it's great. It's cool. Yeah, it was both. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of the scam world, a little bit of the B&E, you know. At the first time, it's so crazy, man, because when I was a shorty, I had to be like 17 years old. And one of my mans, I'm like, yo, how you getting all this bread, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because supposedly you work at Macaroni Grill.
Right.
But you don't make that much money, fam. You know what I'm saying? And that boy did come with me one day. Yep, and then it started from there. And then I was in handcuffs.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? You talking about it about 8 months after that. And one of my partners, he was a band major. You know, my boy named Johnny, he was a band major, older. He like class 05. He's a well-known band major, man, for North Miami. And he tried to call himself trying to get me out. try to act like my dad and get me out. That didn't work. Eventually, my dad found out about it, and yeah, that was in the. But like I said, still environment, because I'm still in the environment. So, and then it's only transitioning from people selling drugs. I wasn't really too into that drug stuff. People selling drugs to people running scams. And shortly after that, you know, you go out there and you test the water a little bit. And then, bro, when you know this is not what you're supposed to be doing, your conscience eats you heavy, and you make mistakes.
Of course.
They eat you heavy, you make mistakes. And one of the major mistakes, they found me sitting in jail for like almost 8 to 9 months. You know, and bro, I had shortly after that, I had just lost my child. My wife had her first, and she lost to her, I think, at the 8-9 month period. So you talking about then going and being incarcerated for like 8 months after that? Oh man, it was a trial. It was a nice little trial. Then to get out and try to get back on the working force. But bro, that environment, once again, still in the same environment.
Wow.
You still growing up around it. It's everywhere around you, you know. And it was very difficult to transition from that phase. But eventually, man, like I said, when I met these guys around about that 2012, because it was a little bit of activity was happening, but you know, I put myself around a different environment at that point. And I won't say I did. It was just circumstances that put me around a different environment, and it helped transition to more of a get back to your essence, man. Get back to what your dad taught you. You know what I'm saying? Go back into the workforce. You know, and fortunately, met some good guys, and they was talking business, and we kind of scaled up into that area. But yeah, bro, that was an interesting rabbit hole.
Yeah,
DeShawn, I definitely would like to invite you back on to actually have that conversation, because there's a lot you just unpack, and we have to go and revisit.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But just like how you were saying, as far as the relationship, didn't mean to cut you off. That's why our dynamic is so good. You know, he grew up in the street world. You know, me personally, I grew up in Poker Bean Projects.
Okay.
But you know, my mom, she kept that tight grip on me. You know, I didn't really grow up with my dad physically and like personally disciplined in my life, like that. But you know, that's why I have to really thank her. You know, because she was the one that was there for me. She kept that leash on me between her and my older brother. You know, so even though I did grow up in the Poker Bean Projects, I stayed in the books. So that dynamic of that business relationship, he's more so the brawn, the muscle, you know, the structure. Me, I'm more of the books. You know what I mean? You know, so that hybrid dynamic of the relationship.
That's what makes it work.
Yeah.
And crazy thing is, you every business needs that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Every business needs that. Fellas, once again, I congratulate you guys, and you guys have a very good thing going on, and I wish you guys nothing but more and more success.
Yes.
Consider this platform to your platform. Whenever you guys want to actually stop by and have a conversation, I would love to finish this conversation.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. For sure.
Cool, man.
And at this time, we want to thank all of our continuing sponsors: AZ Formal Wear, Gourmet Gathering, Chick-fil-A Miami Shores, and Comprehensive Health Center. And most importantly, we want to thank you, our viewers and listeners who tune in every week. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time.